Now, I genuinely adore the cyberpunk genre, but it's a difficult genre to like because it's basically today, depending on how connected to the internet you are. Uh, I aspire to be like the third name in the cyberpunk genre. You're not gonna replace Neuromancer. You're not gonna replace Blade Runner. But I maybe if I get a lot better, could be the third guy. That's where I'm hoping to get one day. And if everyone rallies around me and buys my books, maybe that'll happen one day. Till then, I'm going to be studying. I'm going to be practicing. I'm going to be writing books. I'm going to be getting better. And among other things, I'm going to be reading absolute trash like Here Comes Everybody by Clay Shirky. It's nonfiction, sort of. It is a study on internet culture and the effects of groups and organization as compared to previous models that the methods of the internet have allowed. Came out in the early 20th century. I read it as part of my studies in digital culture just to get some ideas from the people who are, in the kinds of people that get called into interviews about what the internet is doing to people. I wanted to read his book. Now, Clay Shirky is an NYU goon. Moved over to NYU Shanghai. He gets interviewed. He writes books about these things. He's a personality about it. Whatever. Does he bring anything to the table, realistically? I'm not sure he does. I don't recommend this book. But I do try to pull out what can be good, what I can learn from, what I can steal from myself. And one of the things I want to bring up is this happened to be a shockingly insightful view on something that's probably affecting a lot of people right now. Because now, a lot of people have like real jobs, like trade workers and restaurant workers and jobs that require you to actually show up and do labor. Other people like me are the laptop class. And over COVID, I and tons of other people got sent home to work over the internet. And we're now facing the Elon Musks of the world that are starting to say, either come back to the office or you're fired. Now, most jobs have been working mostly just fine from home over COVID. It worked. And there's a lot of benefits in fringe benefits, basically, to the employee for getting to work from home. It causes some issues for the company, though. Now, obviously, one of them is I don't think I'm going to be alone in this. People slack off on Fridays. You start losing the ability to contact people. People call in sick. People just don't respond. People go to Do Not Disturb. They're on weird meetings. You name it. Productivity is dropped on Fridays. That's what everyone has confirmed that I've spoken to has confirmed. It's a genuine problem for companies. And now that's one thing. Another thing is the price of the real estate, the office real estate that these companies have is cratering right now. That's a big economic incentive to go back to the way money was circulating. Think about how many coffee shops have gone out of business because the office they serviced no longer exists. Now, this has been dealing a huge blow to cities, but it's not where I'm going with this. I'm actually shocked. Like the insight I got from this book is that I think it brought up a study that these high-level corporate Silicon Valley wannabe type CEOs are adhering to. And that is the idea of what's called bridging capital. Now, I'm pretty sure this basically got pulled out of Bowling Alone by Putnam, which is a book I'm going to read. I got it on Audible. I'm going to read it probably in the next few weeks here because that might actually be useful. If you're not familiar with that book, it is about the collapse of social circles and social capital. Social capital is the term, really. And it's the idea of your trust and how safe you feel in your community and how much you interact with other people. And the quintessential one is people will bowl with their close friends. Bowling alleys are doing fine, but nobody is showing up to bowling leagues and meeting people anymore. Why aren't Americans meeting each other anymore? And it goes into a bunch of details, which I'll get to in the future because I didn't read Bowling Alone yet. I read Here Comes Everybody. And it brings up this study. That I listened to this and my jaw dropped because the premise is that these researchers got in bed with a new management to a company that just took over and they did a study where they tried to track down where all the quote-unquote good ideas came from in the business, because for a business to make money, to innovate, to develop, to stay competitive in the market, they have to come up with new and good ideas. So they wanted to track down who are the people doing it and why are they the people doing it. Now, obviously, everything follows the Pareto distribution, which is the square root of the population of people working on something produces half of the output that's worth anything. Sometimes this is called the 80-20 rule, but this is like if you have 100 musicians, 10 of them are going to produce half of the top hits. Everything in the world seems to follow the Pareto distribution pretty much. And I'm not a statistician. I actually almost failed stats when I was in college. Don't ask me about it, but that's basically how it works. But what they did was they looked at all the employees that came up with good ideas that actually moved forward and were implemented, and the thing that they identified, probably because they were looking for it, that's how science works, is that the people who generated the best ideas and the most good ideas were people who had a high level of cross-functional communication, who were meeting with people outside of their direct group. The incidental conversations that happen in the office. That is where this report says the best ideas to improve a company come from, which clearly does not happen if everyone is working from their basement and taking calls from the internet and only working with people that they are obligated to work with. And I think that is actually driving, CEOs and boards and upper management. I think that's driving people crazy because they have to look at these abstract ideas about how to run a company well and hope that it works. That's just the way it always works. The people in charge don't necessarily know exactly what's going on when things get too big. They have to look to experts how to do it. Fun fact, that's actually Machiavelli's The Prince was part of a book of how, I'm some smart guy and I'm going to tell you, Prince, how to run your kingdom. Machiavelli's Prince is just the most famous one. It's the same thing right now. CEOs, big corporate people, the kinds of leaders of megacorps that can eclipse governments that you see in cyberpunk fiction, those people, they hire researchers to say, how am I supposed to get better ideas? And then they do studies and they get told things like, oh, you need bridging capital. The most productive people in your company are the ones that are talking with everyone and sharing their ideas. So you really need to put them into situations where they can do that more effectively. And sometimes that means you get ordered back into the office on the vague idea that you'll somehow be better at your job, even though, say, you're only ordered in 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week maybe, but you get to choose what days those are. So the office is only ever at 20% capacity, and the people you're trying to track down aren't even there anyways, so you're just sitting at your desk still hoping that they will respond to your instant message? God, I hope that's not just me. Now, to broaden the topic out a bit more, back to the book, one of the other things that are worth talking about plays into the same idea, and that is the idea of the small worlds model. 6 Degrees from Kevin Bacon, right? In order for that to actually happen, it relies on the small amount of linchpin people that are super connected to tons and tons, like tens of thousands of people, and that's how you get over to Kevin Bacon, or 6 Degrees from certain mid-century Germans, is because it's how fast can you get to like the high echelon of connection, and then to where you're trying to go. That's actually the entire model, a lot of how internet communities and data communication works. Is the idea that generally you're going to be in a small area, but sometimes you have to go up a level, basically move around between that at a hierarchy level where that makes sense, and then you go back down to the small group that you're trying to get to. That is something else I'm going to have to study a bit more, because that's more, you really want to get into the mathematics of why that works, and that was simply not really in this book, in my opinion. Like I said, I don't recommend this book. I don't think it was very good. And a lot of the reason is because I don't think it predicted the evolution of internet culture well. This book came out in 2000 something. Let me pull this up. 2008. Happened to be right after the iPhone came out. iPhone came out in 2007. So I'm going to challenge these big brain internet people with a question. They claim that one of their basic claims is that quantity is a quality all its own when you can allow mass amortization and free-for-alls, and you let the community do the filtering. You just bring everyone who's interested together, and you get this. Eventually, you'll get something good comes out of it. There's how many 4K cameras out there with people interested in recording their stuff? But I'm going to challenge everyone listening to this video right now. Think of the best movie you've ever seen in your life. I'm going to take a guess and say it came out before 2007. Maybe 2010 at the latest or something. It came out before mass amortization. What we have when everyone and their mother and their dog has a camera in their pocket at all times and the ability to upload forever whatever they want to YouTube within terms of service. Memes, reactions, shitposts. Do you really call those movies? Do we have good movies right now? Is this even... I don't think this is good video content. This is just like, okay, this is a slightly higher data load way of talking about a book, and me trying to talk about the ways that society is interacting with it, whether or not it should be good, blah, 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 whatever. This isn't good video content. This is not a good movie. Come on. YouTube is not good by those standards, by the standards of, before the internet. That's why these other formats and these other institutions still exist. We still have these desires for these things because the free content of YouTube just kind of doesn't cut it regularly. Obviously you, viewer, are here listening to a free rant about a book that you're being told to not even try. I'm trying to just give you the download of it. This is not the best thing you could be consuming right now. I'm glad that you're here, and you should hit the like button for that acknowledgement that it's okay. I hope that I'm giving you something for your time here. But back to the small worlds hypothesis. That is this idea of connections, of how to get people together, how to organize the social structures, and I think it just came out wrong. Everyone online right now has surely seen that the way social media and the platforms like YouTube, like Twitter, like Twitch, like OnlyFans or whatever, because of the Pareto principle, the more goes to the winners and less goes to the more losers there are, the less that goes to them, really. And he recognizes that simply because of mathematics, because you have these people that allegedly have so many connections, the PewDiePies of the world. I love PewDiePie's content. He's a great guy. I'm so happy that he is in like New Game Plus territory in Japan with his wife right now. He's living the best life. He's got 100-something million subscribers. You can actually just watch his videos. He only seems to collab with like a couple people. This is the problem of parasocial relationship, and it obviously is far worse with e-thoughts, with VTubers, with simping, and so on. That was just not predicted. I just don't think that these issues we're facing now were conceived of 15 years ago. So here I am recording about this. I don't recommend the book. I do plan to read, like I said, Bowling Alone. I'm going to try and track down some other digital culture books, but I think for a bit I'm going back to literature. Like right now I am reading Catch-22. It's great. I feel like I'm going insane listening to it, actually. These characters are getting to me, which really speaks to the quality of this book. I highly recommend you check it out, because in the James Craig Book Club, link in the description, we're here to read good books, to enjoy it, to talk, to connect with each other deeply, not to have these distant, loose networks of virtue signaling or, how many followers here or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean. It's a book club. Join the link to the description. I've completely lost my point there. You should hit the like button. You should subscribe. You should ring the bell. Tell your friends about this. Do not read Here Comes Everybody, in my opinion. You can probably track down some interviews by this guy and get the whole spiel in 15 minutes. Till then, cheers.